Good evening, everybody. Me and Arknolia are back once again at this same time, same station here. And doing a new episode of Movie Madness. And tonight we want to take a look at the film series Carrie, based on the 1974 classic horror novel by Stephen King. Now, we all know the situation. Anybody knows this book like the right, like the back of their hands. Carrie White, a young high school girl who lives with a psychopathic mom who overly religious and everything else there, throws a poor girl in the closet just for starting her first period. She's overly she's this woman, Margaret White, the mother, was an absolute psychopath without a doubt there. And plus the other girls at school that she attends bullies her to a full extent, to the point where it's like we all know the story, we all know the scenario and that's happened in the book, the movies, and everything else there. So we think we take a look at all the references, all the movies regarding Carrie White. Now, let's start off with the book. The book came out in 1974, as stated, and apparently, according to Stephen King, and in a special anniversary edition of the book, he decided to write the inspiration behind it. When he was growing up in his school, there was this young girl. I guess she had some sort of pimples on her face. She was a little bit on the overweight side there. People used to pick on her relentlessly for whichever reason they saw reason to pick on her. Now, unlike the Carrie in the book, this girl would later commit suicide. She didn't have no telekinetic powers. She didn't have any special forces or anything like that there. But in a lot of ways, when you look at it, it kind
It's
of,
more realistic.
yeah, realistic, absolutely there. And what's realistic is that the connection between Carrie and the issue of bullying in high school. I mean, the bullying still exists, unfortunately, and which is a very
Hmm.
sad thing. I mean, like a lot of kids out there do get bullied. It's whichever junior high, kindergarten, high school. I mean, I remember seeing this one the footage of a kid kids running to this to catch up with this guy, the bully, to make threats at him, to go off on him, yell at him, everything, you name it. And the caption of the video was simply titled, "This is why we have school shootings."
Hmm.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, we had this issue about Carrie and the issue of bullying a couple years ago with Casey is Raw. That's on my channel, still up there to this very day.
Right.
And plus, Carrie being the ultimate victim of the bullying here, basically, a lot of victims of bullying often see her as a predecessor to all these school shootings. But instead of course, we all know it, they're using assault weapons instead of telekinetic powers there. Because, they feel
Right.
that weapons are the only answer to stop the bullying. Running to the teacher ain't go to work. Running to the school counselor or the vice principal or the principal ain't go to work. They're just going to do it even more. So that's like a never ending cycle.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we're going to start off with, of course, the 1976 original with Sissy Spacek, Piper Laurie, and John Travolta. And it's kind of funny, since Travolta made a big back in the movies throughout the 90s, the DVD reissues has him as an official co-star next to Sissy Spacek, even though he wasn't that much in the movie, believe it or not. But then again, we expect it's John Travolta. And I think this was, I don't know, that was the same time that he started his stint on Welcome Back Kotter on TV there, on ABC TV. But either way,
Close.
yes, absolutely. There,
I'm
yeah.
not sure the exact time, but it was close.
Yeah. Now, we all know it's now a media franchise. There are a lot of, there's also a sequel, There was a 2013 remake with Chloe Grace Moretz in the title role. And of course, Julianne Moore as Margaret White, the psycho mom. There was also a TV movie that aired on 2002. And there was even a musical. Now, in the novel, a slightly overweight, shy, and massively usually bullied girl named Carina White is being raised by Margaret, an unstable religious fanatic who thinks that everything is sinful. And I mean everything. When Carrie gets her first period in the shower, she panics, as Margaret never taught her to prepare for such a thing there. Now, the other girls in the shower start to shout period and stare at Carrie. Few of the girls throw tampons, confusing Carrie, who believes that she is dying. The gym teacher, Rita, punishes the girl for a week for with detention, suspends one of the girls, his name is Chris. You know, suspends Chris so what she refuses to comply. So many believe that Carrie should confront her mother about it. The gym teacher, basically she tries to encourage her. Basically, now Margaret, being the psycho bitch that she is, locks Carrie in the praying closet, and as Margaret believes that periods are a symbol of sexual sin. As Carrie's part, however, she lets Carrie out much earlier than she does normally. And Carrie believes it's because she has telekinetic-like abilities, moving things without touching them. Now, of course,
I don't know if that'd be a power I'd want to have. I don't know.
well, it would be nice when we could able to say
sometimes it would be kind. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be, yes. Like say if a child is doesn't have their mom and dad by either side, the kid can run out in the busy street. You could use that telekinesis to pull him back onto the sidewalk there. Like I saw this one time, and this was back in Detroit. Some infant baby that was starting to walk was walking out in the middle of the street. Cars were swaying, and some other person grabbed the kid, pulled him onto the sidewalk, and wondering, where the hell are the parents of this kid here? Like, what the heck's going on? I don't know. Some people are just outright stupid, unfortunately, there. What's up, Danny and T and BR in the chat there? Hey, Danny, if you want to call in, or if you want to be added, let me know in the chat, dude. Now, here's the thing. Carrie gets bullied to the massively. They say things like Carrie White eats shit and everything else. And we also know the prom scene. They get rig it up. Yep, we all know it. Margaret forbids Carrie to attend prom, claiming that Tommy and all the other girls will laugh at her. They're all gonna laugh at you. Remember that quote? But Carrie is tired of her mother controlling her life and everything else, shoves her mother into the praying closet with her telekinesis, or force sensitive as they're often referred today. Now, at the prom, blood is dumped on Carrie, but in the process, the bucket holding the blood hits her date, Tommy, on the head, causing him to die from blood loss. Now, Carrie wants to. Carrie, that's when her powers really come into full blast. Everything is set on fire. Kids are getting killed left and right. Name it. She locks the prom doors shut, causes a fire, stops any attempt of everyone putting out the fire, killing multiple students, multiple teachers. She returns home where Margaret tells her that how she was conceived, to a bizarre form of marital rape. Margaret then comes to the conclusion that Carrie's powers come from Satan and stabs her in the back with a knife, literally. Carrie, she basically uses her powers, Carrie does, to stop Margaret's heart in an attempt to save herself, but is immediately regretful of this. Carrie tries to flee, but is bleeding so bad from the stab that she could barely walk. Sue finds Carrie, that after a brief conversation, Carrie forgives Sue, but soon after, Carrie cries, crying out to her mother. Now, in the book, I guess in the original 77 book, excuse me, the 76 movie, Carrie causes somehow the house to collapse on top of her and her mom, which is a very, of course, very eerie scene when you think about it there. Now,
Yeah.
the closing end is when one of the students, I think Sue it was, played by Amy Irving, she walks up to the grave where she is buried, and on it it says, Carrie White burns in hell. A hand reaches out. Sue wakes up screaming and hollering, traumatized from the events that just happened there. Now, that probably is probably one of the biggest, situation here. Not a people out there wish
Right.
they had who get bullied on, picked on a lot of times, wish they had those kind of powers. No doubt about that. And of course, in 1999, we would get Carrie the Rage 2. Now, excuse me, Carrie the. What am I talking about? The
Well,
Rage.
what's weird about that
Yeah, go ahead.
is she dies in the original movie, and
Yes,
yet they make another movie about her.
absolutely, yes. That's true. Now, I guess Carrie 2, The Rage, which came out in 1999, is kind of like it's kind of like, well, it stars a lady named Emily Burgei, Jason London, Dylan Bruno, and also features a few appearances from Amy Irving. It is a sequel to the 70 it's a sequel to the original Carrie,
Right.
and it serves as a second film in the Carrie franchise. This plot follows the younger half sister of Carrie White, played by Burgee. She's also suffering from telekinesis, who finds her best friend's suicide was spurred by a group of popular male classmates who exploited her for sexual gain. It was not a successful movie, unfortunately. It was a box office bomb at the time of the release. It only grossed about 17 million against a 21 million productions budget. It received generally negative reviews from critics, who also criticized the film's failure to capture the essence of what made the original believably creepy. In spite of this, the performance of the now, despite this, the performers of the cast, or the performances, I should say, were very praised, especially that of Miss Burgee, who was nominated for a Saturn Award, but it has attained a cult following throughout the years after its release. Now, Rachel Lang is placed in, according to the movie here, is placed in foster care by her mother, Barbara, who's diagnosed with schizophrenia, after mistaking
Mm.
signs of Rachel's telekinesis for demonic possession. They always say that around the movies at that time. You're possessed by something. Ah. No. Now, years later, in September 1999, Rachel, an outcast, is living with unsympathetic foster parents and attending high school after her best friend Lisa commits suicide by leaping off the roof of the school. It is uncovered that Eric Stark, who was a popular football star, rejected her after exploiting her for sex. That shit still goes on a lot of times in high schools. That actually was done by the preppies, the high school jocks. They did a lot of times to many of the high school girls there, unfortunately. It happened in a couple times in high school that I used to go in around the early 1980s, believe it or not. Now, a devastated Rachel finds a photo of Lisa and Eric kissing while developing rolls of Lisa's film at a photo lab where she works. Rachel turns in the photograph to the police and explains that Lisa had confessed to her that she had lost her virginity. The sheriff, along with the school's guidance counselor, Sue Snell, yep, the same the Sue Snell from the original, pers-
Right.
pursues statutory rape and charges against this Eric Fu, who's over 18. It is uncovered that Eric and his football player peers, including a couple guys named Chuck, Mark, and a few others, are compiling to see who they can seduce the most girls at the end of the year. You know? After one late night while driving home, Jesse Ryan, another player for the football team, is flagged down by Rachel after her basset hound Walter is hit by a car while on the road. Jesse, who is not as callous as his peers, takes a genuine interest in Rachel at the behest of the cheerleader, Tracy, who's pursuing him meanwhile. After having discovered that Rachel implicated them in Release's death, Mark and Eric attempt to scare her into silence by harassing her at her home, but her strong powers frighten them away. Meanwhile, Sue.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, absolutely, there. It's just. You know, now, of course, Sue gradually suspects that Rachel may be possessing the same powers that Carrie White did. She tracks down Rachel's institutionalized mom, Barbara, whose schizophrenia has really been stabilized. Barbara confesses that Rachel's father was Ralph White, the father of Carrie White. Sue brings Rachel to the ruins of her former high school, which she attended, which Carrie, of course, destroyed in that telekinetic rage in the 76 original, after being humiliated. Sue, a peer of Carrie's, was one of the few survivors of that incident. While Sue discloses that Carrie's is Rachel's half-sister, Rachel dismisses her as a, "You're a lying ass." Now later, the district attorney covers up the statutory rape charges against Eric. Why? We have no clue. Because the players' families have political influence. Of course, obviously, we've seen this many times with, political higher up families. The sons and the daughters, y'all think they could get away with everything. My dad's a lawyer. I could do whatever I want. Not so, suckers. Now, Mark retaliates against Rachel by setting up a romantic getaway for her and Jesse, which he conveniently films unbeknownst to them. Monica Jones, the girlfriend of Mark's friend Brad Withers, then betrays Rachel under false pretenses, inviting her to a party after a football game. Rachel leaves with Monica to the party while Jesse is forced to ride with Tracy after his car's tires are slashed. Tracy stops her at her home first and unsuccessfully tries to seduce him. Meanwhile, Sue manages to sneak Barbara out of the institution so she could confess Rachel's father's identity to her. Now at the party, Mark and Chuck and Mark soon confront Rachel, revealing their sex game and falsely claiming that Rachel was added to Jesse's list of girls he bedded. They also project the footage of her and Jesse having sex for the partygoers to see. This triggers Rachel to the full max, exposing her telekinetic powers to burst out. She seals the house closed, kills most of the partygoers, causing a large glass window to explode, smashing them to death. And she also triggers a fire. Meanwhile, Sue and Barbara find Rachel at the party, but a fire poker impales the front door, killing Sue as Rachel pursues Monica, Eric, and Mark through the house. They arm themselves with weapons. Well, like that's going to do anything here. Rachel kills Monica, causing her glasses to implode into her eyes. Ooh. Causing Monica to be eventually castrate Eric with a harpoon. Mark shoots her with a flare gun and Rachel falls into the swimming pool. When Mark goes over to inspect whenever she is dead, Rachel peers out of the water, pulls Mark into the pool. Rachel triggers a sensor to an automatic pool cover and manages to free herself while Mark drowns. Barbara confronts an injured Rachel, and Mia initially tries to comfort her, but proceeds to accuse her of being possessed and flees. Jesse and Tracy arrive moments later. Rachel kills Tracy by causing a piece of ceiling to collapse on her from a balcony. On the balcony, Rachel confronts Jesse about what happened. He denies it. Rachel then notices the videotape of her and Jesse still playing in the living room, captured Jesse saying, "I love you," and "I love you too," while she slept. Immediately realizes that Jesse's feelings for her are indeed genuine. Moments later, an awning collapses on Rachel, and with it Jesse, unable to free her, she uses her telekinetic to throw him over the balcony, over the pool cover, onto the pool cover as she burns to death. A year later in 2000, Jesse, now studying at King's University, shares a dormitory with Rachel's dog, Walter. He has a vision of Rachel appearing in his room. They kiss before she shatters into pieces. He panically awakens, realizing the vision was just a nightmare. There we go. The second movie there. Now,
a lot of similarities.
Absolutely. Well, that's how it usually is. A lot of similarities with a film series here and there. Now, there was also the 2002 TV movie. I'm looking that up right now there. Now, what they did is they have one of those two movies in one DVD, I guess they have packages. I've seen one of those where they have The Rage Carrie 2 and the 2002 TV movie.
That's kind of weird.
Absolutely. Now, we all know the situation in the original character. That, of course, is played out. But, however, in this, scene, Carrie lives. I think we discussed that, After she gets home from the prom destruction, everything of that there. Let me go look up the Wikipedia because this is kind of like a little bit more different there. On the day of the prom, some lady named Tina switches the prom ballot so that Carrie and Tommy are elected prom king and queen. As they take their place on stage, we know what happened. The pig blood falls on the Carrie. Havoc wreaks all over the joint afterwards. Of course, we know the scenario. Of course. Now, and we all know the situation there. Now, when Carrie arrives home, she gets into a bathtub where she finally snaps back to herself but cannot remember what just happened. Margaret comes into the bathroom to deem her daughter a witch for destroying the whole town, then attempts to drown her in the tub. A little bit more different than the original there, or the book.
Yeah.
With her last ounce of strength, Carrie stops her mother's heart. Sue finds Carrie but manages to revive her by administering 2 breaths. At Sue's suggestion, Carrie fakes her death. Wow. Sue sneaks her out of the house to Florida, where I currently live, as you know. As her 2 drive off, Carrie has a nightmare vision of her mother. When she wakes up, she hallucinates Chris laughing at her. Noticing this, Sue asks her if she wants to stop for a moment, but Carrie tells her, "Keep driving." Interesting. Because I remember hearing one point that in the TV version that Carrie apparently that now runs a class with other kids with telekinetic powers there. So this is going to be interesting. But then again, you got to remember some things can be different in movies and TV versions. You may remember the 1980 Stanley Kubrick directed Shining, based on the Stephen King novel. Apparently,
Right.
yes. We know what happened to a Jack Torrance towards the end of that movie. He literally freezes to death and dies as a result, being out in that cold for so long, and with only a thin ass jacket. Now, apparently that was not in the original book, and I guess in the response to that, Stephen King decided to take matters in his own hands and go by the original book in a TV special, parts 1 and 2, that ran on ABC television, I guess in 1991, no, excuse me, 1997 there. It was this time, it was called Stephen King's The Shining, you know?
Right.
Absolutely there. Now, of course, we have the 2013 movie. This is the one that really got my attention, especially the prom destruction scene. You look at the video, the scenes where Carrie, played by what's her name? Chloe Grace Moretz. She decides to take matters into her own hands, destroying everything, killing everybody, setting everything up freaking ablaze. But you notice when she does this, she's often clenching her fists, like moving her hands all the way, like she's using the force. And the comments in the comments in the YouTube was like Darth Carey, I couldn't help but make this one remark. Emperor Palpatine, your feeble skills are no match for the power of the dark side. Carrie White, hold my drink. That's basically how I put it forth there, because when you think about it, this Carrie, when you look at it there, was probably one of the original Sith Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people have been making a lot of remarks. Of course, many people had thrown the Star Wars remarks and references into the comics section of that particular scene on YouTube. But then again, you can't really help it. Here's someone who has suffered enough and decided to unleash. She has the powers, she has her own force, and she decided, say screw it. Everybody dies. Everybody's busted. Bottom line. Now, the director of the 2013 was done by, of course, it was directed by, it was produced by, let me see, look at the lady here. Who's the person there? Now, it was, the film was produced by, excuse me there for a second, Misher, Kevin Misher. He was the producer, and this movie was directed by a female, forgetting what her name was, Kimberly Pierce. That was her name. Of course, it was, we all know what it was based on. And this time, they really took in the ads the prom dress covered with pig's blood to the full max when it came to the ads there. In the original, it was like, if you got a taste for terror, take Carrie to the prom. Now this ad here said, you will know her name. And above the image of her with the pig's blood dripping down her face there. So basically, Carrie was a victim of bullying. Now, now we discussed it in that special edition involving Carrie and then the issue of bullying. Now, it still goes on, but most of the time it's on the internet. And what's worse about it, we all know that many kids who feel vindictive to lash out at whoever they want, they use fake names, fake identities. It's happened to a lot of people. It's happened to me a couple times when we were doing music streams or the shows like these at times. It's also happened to a couple of people within this community. I know it's happened to Tommy NC 2010 a lot of times when he was on Monetize This or Farmhouse Network there. You know what? I should probably get Tommy on the call. I left him I should probably leave him. Let me see here. Let me see if I can add Tommy to the call there. Excuse me for a second there, because I know he's been bullied a lot of times there. There we go. Let me see if we
It's a shame he didn't do anything to deserve that.
exactly. Like everybody, I guess what it is that they feel the need to pick on people that are their own individual. And let's not forget the times I've been bullied a few times. And but for instance, at one time at Marysville, Michigan, where I had these motherfuckers coming at me thinking I was a drug dealer because I'm not to what they want me to be. I've been messed with a few times because of the fact that I'm my own person. And you're not supposed to be your own person. You're supposed to be like us, think like us, act like us. Believe the same beliefs we believe here. Blah, blah, blah. That's how they feel. Tommy?
Hello.
Hey, Tommy. What's up,
Hey,
buddy?
Tommy, how you doing?
What's going on? We're
What?
glad you are here, dude, because we are discussing. You know the film series Carrie by Stephen King, the book?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
Oh man, you should check out the 2013 version where Carrie White reveals her inner Sith Lord. I'll put forth there. Now, the reason we brought you on the call is because you got so many flack from the community a lot of times for whichever reason they saw fit. And I have this article about here called "Carrie Was Ahead of Her Time: A Message About Bullying," and the times you were bullied on Monetize This and bullied on the Foul Mouse Network a few times in the past year. What is your take on Carrie White? What is your take on the whole situation between the two being connected there?
Well, to say be bullied on the Foul Mouth Network, I'm not really bullied. They just kind of kid with me.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as going anything with Joe Cronin, no comment. Like no comment on anything of that.
I know
You
there.
know.
I understand that full well there. But then again, Joe Cronin is known to bully a lot of things. Like the times he would put you on the spy for every little thing that there is, where it's a TikTok video, where it's a certain word he says. Like, geez,
Well,
dude,
I
give me a
prefer not to
break.
say anything about him because then he'll play like 100 times a clip in a loop, and he'll just be like, "Fuck you, you fucking retard!" Like
Oh,
just like he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. Fuck him, he's fucking retard. Like I know that just me doing an impression of him would send him off in an erratic state because sometimes when in his state he will like take things out of
context.
context and then flip out.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I was one time on Found Mouse Network and I was dogging a woman named Shell because she was associating herself with Scott McKinnon. Now, years later, about long while after that, I decided, you know what, I was wrong to say those things, and I made a video apologizing to her for that. She accepted it. She thanked me on the Twitter for doing that there. And now they were just now on Joe's show. He plays some of the clips of me dogging Shell, along with Shell's donation there. I don't know what Joe's trying to do, but he's trying to. I don't know if he's trying to get her to go against me. I doubt that's going to happen because, like I said, I already apologized for those things I said there. And but then again, he's kind of mad at me too because I haven't been on this program for since how long? But like I said, Monetize This has now become the club that changes freaking format. You know. Yeah. Now, of course, how do you feel about it? You think all this massive bullying going on, with all the school shootings that occurred afterwards, at any of the schools that you went to after the school shooting in 1999, you see schools now taking a lot of precautions, a lot of
All I can say about
suggestions.
this, no, we don't have to ban guns. And I don't really get into drama that much, so I just prefer to stay away from it.
All right, there. Well, it's
It's
not
good for
really.
you.
That's good. I haven't really
Yeah.
done much drama in a long time there, only if it occasionally comes up there. But there were a lot of times, when I got bullied like crazy at school because of my autism. In fact, I remember I was telling Ark before he came on the line here, saying these two of these guys were making threats against me because they thought I was a drug dealer because I wore a leather jacket and biker boots, blah blah blah, and that was years ago. But you also got to realize, like some of that stuff doesn't go away with people at times. Like I mean, it took me being fired from my previous job at the golf club before the pandemic pile drived us all to hell. And then we realized, I got to let that shit go. I got to stop being that individual. You got to stop being that angry, resentful mofo. Then I realized, you got to turn a new leaf, Earl. You got to do that, and
Yeah.
yeah, I know because, but then again, there will be times where some of that anger will come back up to you. Like you got to get it settled. You got to make them pay for what they did. Like that's what kind of like bullying will do to a person. Like there was this one video I saw where a girl is given a piece of paper. All right, okay, and the counselor tells her, crumble it, step on it, ring it all to hell. Now pick up the piece of paper from the floor, apologize to it, say I'm sorry. Okay, now is that paper going to be the same as it was before? Not really. And you got to remember that some of that will damage one's psyche to pretty bad there.
Hey man, I hate to do this, Dr. Phil, but I actually have to head out. Okay.
Okay, thank you for being on the call. Yeah,
Thanks for
Tommy.
doing it,
Tommy, you and I got to do a show sometime. I'm looking forward to doing that sometime, man.
Most definitely.
Okay, there. So, okay, thank you for being on the call with us, Tommy. All right.
Thank you.
All right,
much
take
appreciated.
care. All right, bye,
Bye.
dude. Bye. Okay, Tommy NC 2010, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to read this article here that I saw while preparing for this program here. Now, of course, it says here. Now, the thing according to this article is that people don't see Carrie White as the villain in this movie. Now, Chris and Billy are still seen as the bad guys, the heels. Despite her breakdown and murder spree in the end, Carrie is still portrayed as the victim. And she, of course, is. The young girl who is bullied for no particular reason, separated by the world by her abusive, sick-in-the-head mom, only to take him to the prom to get humiliated in the end. She's unhappy with her home, her school life, and her force powers. There you are. I know what.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I guess when Tommy left, I did too.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the heck that happened there. Sorry about that happening there. I know. Bit
No
of Skype strikes again. Anyways, I'm reading part of this article here. I mean, when you think about it, Carrie is a tale of revenge, taken by a girl unjustifiably tormented for years. Now, according to the article here, but what moral does this really convey? Carrie is the ultimate be careful who you bully in high school movie. But at the same time, it's not like Carrie White is some, force sensitive gal seeking revenge for a small wrongdoing. She was getting revenge because if nobody else was going to stick up for her, she had to stick up for herself.
Yep.
Of course, yeah, she stick up for her. She's different from everybody else, but it's because of her telekinesis or something that not mentioned in the movie. But that doesn't mean she deserved what she got in that school, in that movie. Here's the thing. Bullying doesn't really do anything but injure mentally, emotionally that individual. That person grows up to be resentful. That person grows up to be angry. That person grows up to be wanting to lash out, like put a wall around them.
Right.
That's what bullying will does to you. Now, the article ends by saying Carrie is a satisfying movie about a girl getting revenge on her abusers. And it is a movie that everyone should watch. Maybe not too young, obviously, but maybe in their teenage years due to some more adult themes. but it teaches an important lesson that everybody should learn, even if you're different. You deserve to be loved and respected, and you do not deserve to be bullied all to hell like Carrie White got. And you know what? I agree. I agree because, like as I said many times before, bullying does a lot of damage to that individual. You know, it's going to make that
Right.
hate that person even more, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing there was also a television series apparently.
Really? A TV series? I remember it was a TV movie there. Was it a streaming service? I think it was. I think it most likely it'd probably be the whole story, bit by part, like the chapter one, chapter two, most likely. Let me look that up.
Yeah, 'cause that's interesting.
Let's see here. The Carrie, we have so far the Carrie Diaries and the Carrie from the Sex and the City franchise, and I don't see. Let's see here. Well, let's see here. The only thing I could find was the TV movie, which I referred to as, you know. Let's see here. And of course here. So far, it's not about the TV series, just the TV movie. That's about it. Like I said, the only Carrie that was in a TV series was the Carrie from Sex and the City, as I mentioned there. And that was called the Carrie Diaries, you know.
I'm going to see what I can find in a source that I got.
Okay, there.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead there. Well, I'm going to go back to an incident. Of course, we're talking about the Columbine High School shootings in 1999. I saw that when I got up in the morning, getting my breakfast and everything there. And my girlfriend called me up. It's good talking about, did you hear what happened just a moment ago? And it's like, yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And next thing I know, I was like, holy cow. And then when we got into details of what really happened on that day there, turns out that these two guys were outcast. They were different because they listened to different music. They were listening to more goth bands like not really goth, sort of like the more darker, harder stuff like Disturbed, Marilyn Manson, and they wore these trench coats there, black trench coats, like I usually wear when I go out in public at times to the club or something like that late at night. You know, I don't wear a trench coat in the daytime, not like I used to back in the 90s when I first started that trend there. But because they wore these coats and listened to different kind of music, they were picked on, they were bullied, they were like massive, they were targeted for being themselves, you know. So it's just, when you think, and so the thing is that we pointed this out in that special we did a couple years back. The kids out there see no other point but to gun these mother foes down. And they do that because they're not going to stop bullying. They're not going to quit. They're going to keep doing it more and more and more. So the only way to make them stop is to shoot them all dead. Shoot them down to the ground. So so they had to resort to the only result they had to. Now, keep in mind, they knew it was wrong. I think they realized that in the end, what they've done was way wrong. They didn't know they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life, possibly end up on death row. So I guess they sought the other easy way out, shooting themselves, killing each other, because they know because they know their lives are seriously screwed up. Now,
Yeah, exactly.
and the thing that made us mad is that right away, the media blamed Marilyn Manson for the whole thing. Now, keep in mind, these two kids were not fans of Marilyn Manson. They were going to do what they were going to do no matter what kind of music they listened to, whether it's Amy Grant or Aerosmith. They were going to do it regardless. But because of Manson being blamed for these shootings, his career basically took a big nosedive.
Okay, I found a reference.
Good, good, yes.
In the television film, the new ending marked a complete divergence from the novel
Hmm.
and was a signal that the film served as a pilot for a Carrie television series,
Mm.
which never materialized.
Ah, I see there. Because yeah, but so this is going to be a pilot for a TV series based on Carrie White there.
Right,
I see
and it
there.
never happened.
Well, because I guess people called it out saying, no, Carrie dies in the original movie there. And she also dies in the 2013 remake there.
Right.
Now, see if you can look up Carrie the musical. Because I remember we discussed it that there was a musical play on her. Let me look it up myself just while we're on it here. Carrie the musical. Mm-hmm.
A 1988 Broadway musical
Yeah, absolutely there.
of the same name.
Absolutely. Just simply Carrie. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sorry, but I just don't think I just don't see it there, unfortunately there. I just don't really see
No,
it. I cannot pin it. I know when you make Evil Dead the musical, Spider-Man the musical, mixed in with it just doesn't cut my cheese, that's for sure there. It
yeah.
just doesn't work. It does not work. Oh gosh, I'd be afraid to even watch that thing. But you know what? I don't know if it was a success or not, but I'm sorry. Don't try to make something like The Evil Dead or The Exorcist a musical. Thank you very
Horror
much.
movies don't generally
Exactly.
translate. The only one
Exactly.
I can think of, and it was more of a tragedy than a horror movie, was Phantom of the Opera. I mean,
Mm.
that did that was successful.
It was, yes. I remember seeing the original with my girlfriend and her friend back in, I guess, in 1999. At
The
I
black
guess
and white one.
yes, it was and of course it was like what they did as they decided to have somebody up playing an organ or a keyboard there with some lady singing there during the part where the what's her name sings,
Hmm.
and it's like this is how it was. Movies were back then. Movies were silent, and they have some sort of a dude or someone play a piano or an organ there,
I
to
think
go
the
along.
original had Bela Lugosi, but I could be wrong.
No, it didn't have Bela Lugosi. I think this is way before Bela Lugosi even burst onto the scene at that time. There, I
Oh
forgot
yeah, it was that one.
yeah, it's true. There, I don't even remember the guy who played the Phantom himself, but I remember the alias of the Phantom was name was Erica something. I remember there. Now, Now, probably one of the biggest, images of Carrie, obviously we all know, is the Carrie with the shocked look on her face, the angry look, as well as the prom dress with covered with all that pig's blood there. That'd probably be one of the most iconic scenes. I mean, like Funko Pop has its own little vinyl figure of that image there, no doubt about that. I'm still waiting for them to come up with the final figure for Jack Torrance from the Shining there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think in retrospective, the message behind Carrie is the consequences of bullying certain people, and the outlet and what will come afterward you do such a thing. I mean, like, as far as a horror movie, the original stands out on its own, absolutely there. The 2013 remake is okay there. Some people say that, well, Chloe Grace Mortez was too pretty to be awkward. But then again, anybody, even pretty gals, can be awkward in their own little ways there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yep. And also, we also need to talk about Margaret White, who's some cited as the real villain of Carrie there. This woman was a psycho. This woman was over religious. This woman was thinking everything around her is a sin. It's like, and unfortunately, there are people out there who still believe that kind of stuff. These are the people that need to have their heads checked ASAP, because not everything out there is a sin. But it's hard to convince them that because of their whatever mental illness they have. And it's like, it's kind of funny, like, I think right now would be the perfect time for a book to come out by either Stephen King or somebody else to detail Carrie's father. As we mentioned in the 99 sequel, The Rage,
Right.
Carrie 2,
Right.
Ralph White. We need a book. We need a story on him. How he got his telekinetic powers, or mostly he was probably born with them. And what actions did he use with these powers? This would be a perfect time right now. Like going back into the past, see how this started, how that started there, They did that with the Amityville Horror.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a 1925 version of Phantom of the Opera that starred Lon Chaney. I knew it was one of those guys. I just didn't know which one.
Now there was so many great ones at that time. Him, Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff. What's that other guy's name? Blah blah blah. Oh, Peter Cushing. Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of standard guys.
Exactly. So I guess it fits to say, of course, this is me saying here. Carrie White still stands as one of the original Sith Lords, but she had a bigger purpose, or what Anakin Skywalker had when he became one. Anakin Skywalker felt a lot of betrayal from the Jedi Order. Trying to keep his wife from dying and all that stuff, falling into the devil's plan there. Of course, the devil being Palpatine, of course, Darth Sidious. Carrie became the way she became because of all the intense BS that was thrown at her from the kids at school, her own mom. One can only take so much. And I guess it's safe to say that now, because of the school shootings that would occur afterwards, people are now realizing that, hey.
And still going on.
I know, exactly. I think when was the last school shooting? Here, let me look it up there.
Yeah, because there's one just recently.
Oh, wow. I got to look this up here.
But oddly, they don't get covered like they did for a while.
I know, yeah. Let's see. Oops, I made a mistake there. I put on me. Last school shooting in America. Here. Okay, let me by here because... Now, let's see here. Massive shootings in, let's see here. Wow. Let's see. I got here mass shootings, school shootings. We got it right here. This was covered in the news not too long ago. Now, Robb Elementary School, the shooting took place there. In an unreleased previous interview, police who responded to the school shootings at Robb Elementary told investigators they were cowed by the shooter's military-style rifle. This drove the decision to wait for a Border Patrol SWAT team to engage him, which took more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in an elementary school.
Right.
And here's an article saying, despite decades of mass shootings in the state of Texas, legislators have failed to pass meaningful gun control laws. It's not really just the gun, folks. It's about the individual holding the gun. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. You got to remember that the person who holds it's just an object. Well, I know it's a very dangerous object, but yet it's the end of how it's being used. It's up to the individual. Use that weapon as a form of protection, not anything else. If you're going to use it to me, people get the idea, if I have a gun, I can make the world bow to me. Do what I say. Do what I tell you to now, or else I'll shoot you dead. Like that's, that's abuse of power. That's abuse of the Second Amendment, according to my book, But some people don't really understand that because they're too busy with their own thing, their own agendas there.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to end this program. We're going to end this program
What are
here.
we going to do next time?
I haven't gotten an idea. If you have any ideas, let me know in your Gmail there. Gmail me or Skype me and let me know if you have any ideas what we could talk about there. I'm open to all stuff there. And you know what? I'm hoping we could get YR and Keith back on the show here. Because I miss having those guys. What again?
I don't know what the deal is there.
I don't know. I know, like I said last week, YR said he was taking a break from YouTube, and that was about it. I haven't heard anything from Keith, and so I guess we'll end the program here for Movie Madness, and we'll see you all next Wednesday or Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Music Maniacs on Wednesday evening, and Movie Madness on Thursday evening, same time as I stated here. All right.